Let me remind you that I will be asking the questions, thank you. Now again, I will ask, who are you really working for? Katrina continued to parry verbally and avoided answering her interrogator's questions. The spotlight still glared down on her, and Katrina periodically closed her eyes against it in an attempt to fight the effect it was having on her. While Mole Man grew increasingly angry, she flexed her fingers and reached up to feel the knot. Her eyes sprang open in surprise. A square knot? Ah, I see I have finally hit your weak spot. If Katrina could just stretch her fingers a little higher up, she was going to show him what it meant to get hit in a weak spot. She pulled at the loops to loosen the knot while trying to squeeze some feeling into her hands. Well, that was easy. Maybe too easy. Tying the ropes into a square knot? Amateur hour. Any thug who expected to get hired for another job would never be so sloppy. Then again, Katrina considered, she was quite clever. Maybe the assailant had underestimated her, which wouldn't have been the first time. She smiled and shimmied her shoulders to escape the ropes around her. Mole Man's mouth dropped open in surprise. That rope tying would have embarrassed a Cub Scout, she said. You really need to hire a better quality of henchman. He shrugged. Well, you know, it's hard to get good help these days. The best ones always want the benefit packages. Dental. He whipped out a jagged-edged knife. I wouldn't bother to make any sudden moves. He stroked the tip of the knife lovingly. Where the hired help failed, I will not. Her legs were still bound, and Katrina wasn't foolish enough to think she could bend over and untie her bindings, not without getting a knife in the back. She figured she had only one option, which was probably going to hurt her as much as him. As Mole Man lunged, Katrina hurled her body to the side with as much force as she could. The chair cracked as she fell to the floor, and Katrina grunted in pain. She flung her legs against the floor again to break the legs of the chair, ignoring a sharp stab as a chunk of wood was embedded in her hip. The chair fell apart. She grabbed the seat and knocked the knife out of his hands, making it skitter across the floor. Swinging the other way, she cracked the seat across the man's head. With a rewarding smacking sound, Mole Man fell to the ground. At that moment, all of the lights in the room suddenly turned on. Congratulations, Agent Foster. A tinny, familiar-sounding voice came through a ceiling speaker. You have now achieved Level 4 status.